Hey guys, so welcome back to the Great Ancestor Chronicles. Let's carry on where we left off. We may have jumped the gun at the end of the last episode, like so many other people in this case, with dealing with firearms. We're down to 3 lives. We got penalized for presenting Susato's notes, naming Mason Milverton, a potential connection to Ashley Graydon here, whose original surname, his maiden name, if you will, was also Milverton. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to be the time to present that particular piece of evidence, so we're back to the drawing board. Now, I pressed Graydon again regarding this statement because I thought, well, you know, we've already established the connection. I just need to somehow present it in a way that the game accepts it. And Ryunosuke handily reminded us that we need to find a link between Ashley Graydon and Mason Milverton, who resided at the Artisan Quarter. So I'm thinking maybe we don't present any evidence here. We go back to the Skulkin brothers and maybe press this statement again, which we got out of their previous one. Milverton and Skulkin's milk run. Gore them with the days.
Hold it!
Let's find out what else they have to say about this. I'm sure the judge is not going to be happy because we're falling back on some sentimental remembrance, nostalgic times. I'm sure I'm going to regret asking, but what exactly was that? Some kind of business? Just a little scheme we had going back when we was youngsters. Bit of fun, really. Delivering fresh milk to locals, that's what it was all about. That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch, surely. There was some crimes going on. A basic milk run, really? I suppose since we're here, I should ask them to elaborate. But on what? Here we go. The business name, please. So this business was just a bit of fun, you say? And it was just yourselves and Mr. Graydon involved? Making pennies, splitting profits? Yeah, that's it. Milverton and Skulkin's milk run, was it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, go on, chew your fruit. And where did the Milverton part come from? You guys are the Skulkin brothers, not the Milverton brothers, right? Oh, right. I thought a clever clogs like you'd have worked out that one. It's... Yeah, I did work it out. Unfortunately, nobody else did, and I was beyond my time. It's funny because I was already worried about, you know, a bridge too far when I had to present the newspaper, I believe it was, detailing the government secrets being leaked to foreign agencies when we just heard the music box and, you know, we just knew it was Morse code. I was like, oh man, am I jumping too far ahead here? It turns out I wasn't, but for this particular part, I was, so that's great. Enough of this. How much longer are we expected to listen to this drivel? I don't... No. Let me guess. You don't accept anything these two witnesses are saying, especially because they've turned around and stabbed you in the back, Mr. Graydon. Or should I say, Benedict? Oh, no, wait, sorry. Should I say, Milverton? You're a man of many names. Tell me, why is it that it was only at the mention of the name Milverton that you decided to interject? Because well... They weren't the happiest of homes that one came from. These guys are all just perfectly calm now, you know. Isn't telling the truth so much easier, guys? That weight off your shoulders, you're not sweating buckets anymore. Yeah, his old man was struggling for money so much his wife walked out on him. She took the name Graydon then, see? But Ash will always be Milverton to us. Huh. Milverton. So that used to be your surname, did it? Of course not! This is all bunkum. I've been a Graydon since I was born. Do you really think you can rely on the testimony of these two thieves, Yeah, that's unfortunate that I've discredited them so much that now that they're telling the truth, I really need everyone to believe them. You're a communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked at your time of appointment. It would be a very simple matter indeed to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon. Ah! Yeah, sorry, we had to do a background check on you because you're a communications officer, basically a spy. Well, it would appear that Mr. and Mr. Skulkin's testimony has been reliable. For once. Unbelievable. You were born Ashley Milverton, then. Is that correct? Very well.
Yes.
So Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton, and he turned into Egbert Benedict. I see. That information could change things. And could turn out to be extremely important. It certainly could. Ashley Graydon is now updated. His last name was once Milverton years ago, a childhood friend of the Skulkin brothers. Are you happy now, you Nepalese fart? Yes, I am. All of a sudden, we seem to be up to our necks in the serious matter of national security. Although all this talk about interception of secret government messages is still just conjecture at this stage, I can't believe I had the gall to present a newspaper article as evidence.
It would explain a number of things, though, wouldn't it? The negotiation Ginny overheard on the omnibus 2 months ago, and the break-in at Winterbanks. But the trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Graydon in the omnibus with Mr. McGilded.
No, but he did get shot in the store, unless somehow it comes up that actually 2 people could have the same colored blood and we're just getting confused because there's only a limited number of colors in the color wheel, right? I still stand by the fact that why did Ashley Graydon break into the store? He already knew that the disc wasn't there. It was in police custody. He witnessed the exchange firsthand that afternoon. There was a tampering of the music box. Perhaps he had another disc and he needed to play it, but then why not just run off with the box? Why put it back there, you know? Interesting. Like, surely you'd want to keep the box so you could repeat the message if need be. Why only, you know, quote-unquote rent it and then just leave it on the shelf? No, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker who was so horribly murdered.
If only there was some link between the 2 men somehow.
Yeah, if only. I know. Damn it. Can't think right now. My mind's blank. But Mr. Graydon's testimony seems to be as watertight as ever. Are you kidding me? It's more leaky than the Iraqi Navy. I wonder if the key to us making headway with the cross-examination here could be those 2 brothers. I'm repeating myself, aren't I? I think it's about time we presented McGilded case notes to this statement right here, claiming to have no relation to the man. I object.
Objection.
Oh, good. Gotcha. Wait, that's Apollo's line. Mr. Ashley Milverton. Tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court? Because I haven't gone by that name for years. Means nothing to me. No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all. The truth is, you had a reason to hide that name. You probably don't even know who you are anymore. Explain yourself, please, Consul. I have here the notes from the omnibus case, my lord, written by my wonderful assistant, Susato Mikotoba. You know, I'm still missing her, man. Still miss her. Even though I know she's still around somewhere, she's, you know, in cahoots with Herlock Sholmes for whatever reason. I don't know what those 2 are up to. Especially because of her knowledge of the unspeakable story. And as we all know, the victim, the man who we now understand to have been negotiating with McGilded. Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. That's right, only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton. Milverton? Do you mean to say... Oh, saints alive! Yes, Mr. Ashley Milverton. Is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father? Oh my god, I thought they were brothers for some reason. Let's check the ages, please. Didn't even cross my mind. Is he even gonna be in here? No, he's not. Maybe he's in the case file. Ashley Graydon is 27. No age on Mason Milverton. That's perfectly fine. Oh, I don't. As I believe I mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you join the civil service. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records. The truth is, you have been illegally acquiring highly confidential government information and selling it on to McGilded in collaboration with your father. Well, well. Maybe Mason Milverton hadn't borrowed money at all, and the ledger was, transaction amount, perhaps? This is slander! Huh? I carved a new life for myself as a respectable communications officer, as a gentleman. I have no idea what my father has been up to, but it has nothing to do with me. And may I remind the court that the assertion that this disc contains some sort of message in Morse code has been reliably disproven. By a professional and independent communications officer, no less. Yeah, totally independent, you know, totally removed from this trial. She's not sitting on the jury or anything, guys. Perfectly okay. Highly disconnected, which is, you know, ironic considering she's a communications officer. I think we've established that the music box is actually meant to play 2 discs, because there's 2 slots for them, right? So the message that we've heard is actually incomplete. The relationship between the victim of the omnibus case and this witness is undoubtedly significant. However, the defense's argument remains somewhat incomplete, I feel. Just like the message, Your Honor. I mean, my lord. No! Incomplete? I believe the cross-examination should continue. Wow, this is a long one. Every time I feel like we've, busted through, this music resumes playing and we're back to the same 5 or 6 statements. Alright, so Morse code uses 2 tones. If I could just demonstrate the possibility that this could have been used to generate 2 distinct tones. Alright, we've already done that too.
Perhaps we should have a really good look over the music box, Rune.
Yeah, been there, done that, Iris. You remember? We both looked at it. You reiterate your testimony, if you please, Mr. Graydon. If I must, though I maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination. He's getting fed up. A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. Besides, the sounds produced by that music box aren't even Morse code. It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with McGilded anyway, was it not? I have no relation to the man. Well, this seems to be the most relevant statement to present the small music box for. The only thing I'm apprehensive about is the fact that the description still says it's only able to play a single tone. And this is despite the fact that we've examined the music box, just like Iris told us, and nothing got updated, so I am a bit hesitant to present this. How about we press it for now? This might be another Skulkin Brothers situation, where we'll get some dialogue. If we don't get anywhere, I'll present the music box. It's just, I'd rather play it safe. I mean, I know I could easily just save before every testimony that I present evidence for, but, we'll probably just rely on that once we get down to 1 life. Let's at least give an honest attempt at trying to figure this out, rather than just spamming answers. They're not. To anyone with a brain, that would be blatantly apparent on listening to that music box for even a few seconds. Of course. Yeah, right. Surely it can't be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code. Sorry, it's not like I use it in my day-to-day life. Pretty sure it wasn't that common back in the day, right? Maybe for ships. Ouch. He looks genuinely shocked at my ignorance. Yeah, well, I can't wait for you to freaking visit Japan, and I'll mock you for all your ignoramic ideas about our culture. Ha ha ha! I'd be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir. Oh, great. So, not only do we have one person teaching us about stereoscopic images, we've now got juror number 5 teaching us Morse code. Looks like it was a good call to press the statement, then. A lesson? Here in court. Morse code is a continuous series of 2 distinct tones. Tones, you say? Yes. A short dot and a long dash. By combining those in different ways, you construct letters. I see. For example, this is A. And this is B. Right, yep. But when you listen to the sound produced by this music box, you only hear 1 tone, don't you? Just the dots, not the dashes. But it sounds so similar. I mean, the rhythm of it is the same in everything. Don't you shake your head at me again. But there's no discernible meaning to this apparently random sequence of sounds. So your assertion is fundamentally flawed. This is not Morse code. Well, it could still be some other type of code. Really? You shouldn't be so surprised. What did I tell you? That music box is nothing but a worthless piece of scrap. Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspersions in future. Ugh, stop. Nothing to say, but stop.
Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it?
Iris?
I mean, if the government secrets were somehow being leaked using the music box, so many other things would slot into place so nicely.
Could there still be something I haven't considered? Would it really be impossible to use this music box somehow to play back Morse code? Let's give it a try. There's still every possibility that this music box was instrumental in the leaking of government secrets. That's the belief of the defense, at least.
Objection!
Because it's, it's valuable to my case. Does it please you in some way, my Nipponese friend, to repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum? It's already been established that to be Morse code, 2 tones are required. Dots and dashes. Yes, I'm well aware of that now, thank you. I actually listened to what she had to say. I'm not a goldfish, even though I sometimes slap my cheeks to look like one. Then what? Well, it would appear the defense has a hypothesis to put forward. Well, the fact that Graydon doesn't look happy means that we're on the right track, right? You had better present your idea at once, Counsel. How do you propose that this music box, which appears to produce only a single tone, could have been used to cipher secret messages into Morse code? Oh. Well, yeah, sure, I'll present it to you. I better open it up first, right?
Oh, what is it, Reno?
I've just noticed something about this music box. Again! Okay, good thing I opened it up before I presented. I just know that I would have been penalized for the fact that I didn't open it up. Good gracious, what am I looking at here? Another movement on the underside of the music box. What? It appears, my lord, that the 2 movements are linked together. In other words, you can put 2 discs in this music box, and the sounds of both will play back at the same time! Good heavens! As the court has heard, Morse code comprises of 2 tones, a short dot and a long dash. Thank you, Van Zeeks. Now, with a second disc in place, the music box could be used to generate Morse code and convey a message. Ah! Nice pirouette there. Could probably compete with Jevil on that. The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness all come together to reveal the truth. The truth, you say? That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGilded. By dint of this music box, you mean, Counsel? Yes. Stealing information being sent in secret government communications and selling it on to McGilded. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme of using 2 music box discs to encode the information. As, presumably, a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands. It's like a 2-factor authentication, And a very effective one. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence whatsoever. But the deal with McGilded went sour, and the brickmaker met his end. Yes, but before he was arrested, McGilded managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbroker. Then, having learned of the situation, you appeared at Windibank's 2 days ago. In an attempt to recover the 2 articles McGilded had placed in pawn there. How did he learn about that, though? Who told him? Oh, clutching your bullet wound, are you? But that attempt failed. One of the discs was seized by the police, and the other you never found. What if it was, in the music box? Maybe that's why it was tampered with. It was in the box the whole time. It just needed its brother. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skulkin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. Joke's on you for hiring some incompetent buffoons, this time determined to recover the second disc. Are you suggesting that the second disc was inside the music box? That seems to be the case. We never knew nothing about that. You don't know much, do you? On the night that Mr. Windibank was killed, We all cross our eyes. The intruder to the pawnbrokery touched one item and one item alone. The music box. I still maintain the fact that why do they leave it there? As rather ingeniously demonstrated using the 2 prints from the security camera, indeed. So, the question that naturally begs answering is this. Why was only that one article disturbed? The answer is obvious. Because it contained the second disc, which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since, if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. Have I got that just about right? Well, Mr. Graydon, sorry it takes as many tries as it does to guess your actual name. Do you deny that all of this actually began on that fateful night 2 months ago? I refuse to accept any of this nonsense! I wonder how far along we are. Because surely this isn't the be-all end-all. We're not just going to arrest Graydon. There's so many things left unanswered, so many threads left to wrap up. Sir. There appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket. What? Uh-oh. 2 nights ago. We know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Windebag's pawnbrokery. I guess you shouldn't have been dancing and boogieing all day long. Unfortunately, it seems to have opened up your wound again. That's what you get. One took the life of the pawnbroker himself. One struck the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the final bullet. I like how we got the gunshot as soon as Ryunosuke tapped his finger on the paper. Struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide. It's a bullet wound, isn't it? It's not a snake wound. It's not a knife wound. You know, it's not a pimple that you popped prematurely. He's got you now, me old China. I can't believe these guys just turned on him, and now like walking over the grave he dug himself. Time to call it quits and croak, I reckon. Don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those were my terms, remember? And I paid you handsomely to comply. Clearly, I was a fool to think I could trust some common backslum thieves. Huh? Fine, I admit it. I was there in Windebag's that night. I paid this pair 10 guineas to accompany me. And as you've noticed, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventures. Your adventures. That's putting it lightly. But that is all. I admit to nothing more. Stealing government secrets, negotiating with Mr. McGilded. There we go again. Just gonna bleed some more. As God is my witness. I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort. He's not going to go down without a fight. Not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Well, I suppose it could be worse. He could be Alba from Ace Attorney Investigations. We could be here all night long if that's the case. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact. Which is... well, we know that one bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. The bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun hit the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the bullet from Mr. Windebag's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon in the arm. Indeed it must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself. Which means we're missing a weapon. And I believe that's the one that killed Mr. Windebag. I don't suppose you've got it in your possession, Mr. Graydon? Or did you chuck it in the sewers somewhere? And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windebag was shot by a 3rd gun. We've identified the Skulkin's gun. We've identified Windebag's gun. Sherlock Holmes didn't have a gun. You're the only person left. Which can only have been fired by the 3rd intruder. Goodness! That's right, Mr. Graydon. Ugh. You're growling like a hound over there. The only person who could possibly have shot Mr. Windibank that night is you!
Hold it!
Oh? You little upstart! You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here. What? What's that supposed to mean? Why, is it because you're gonna get killed by the Reaper? Sworn to silence? By way of death? Yes, as you rightly say, I was there at the pawnbroker's. I did my best to hide the fact naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I'd built for myself at the communications station. But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility? What do you mean? What thought? What possibility? I've covered all my bases. The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see... Oh, you saw Gina shoot Mr. Windibank? This makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client. What? Are you suggesting... what? So, okay. This is quite the gambit. This is quite the gambit indeed. Okay, you placed me at the scene. I'm gonna confess I was at the scene, and now I'm just gonna play the role of witness and say that your client did it. The defendant did it. Because she's already in the hot seat. Everyone's gonna believe me, you know? Unfortunately, Mr. Graydon, I think it's gonna backfire. You've practically offered yourself up as an alternative, not as a witness. I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at the poor defenseless pawnbroker and shot him. Yeah, well, why didn't you bring this up in the first place, huh? You... What? Bullshit! I call bullshit perjury! Hold him in contempt! Order! Well, it would seem we are finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial. Are we? Mr. Graydon. Yes? I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. If it is shown that your claim is false, you will have incriminated yourself as the killer. Exactly. Right? This is all or nothing now. Oh, I understand fully. Huh. Then I must ask you to give your formal testimony once more. You will explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim. I'm amazed the Skulkin brothers haven't backed this story up. Nothing would give me greater pleasure. I'm sure you're an easy man to please. The moment of the shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with a broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused in a black coat shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. Huh. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Interesting. Good gracious, this is quite extraordinary testimony. Well, it's not from an extraordinary man. You claim, sir, under oath, I remind you, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. Order! Is anyone really buying this? It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither is it my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. I must cover my arse, as they say. So you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now, as an act of self-preservation. The truth? Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. Why? That makes zero sense. Why would she shoot him in the back? once he's locked himself in the room with her. And as I said, she was shouting in his blood. You say the blood splattered all over the accused's coat. Are you sure on that point? Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. Really? Really? Really, really? Really, really, really? Really, really? Okay, well, she did have the coat when she confronted Winterbank with the gun. If her coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. Where is the coat? I'd like to examine it. Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Iris. So here's to true science. Not some amateurish detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry.
There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound.
Sorry. The tongue got twisted. Ideas are of no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. Oh, like the theory of gravity, huh? In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used, with your lordship's permission. We could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. I like how you requested permission for that, but not to toss your, glass into the lamp behind you.
This doesn't look good, Reno.
Why not?
Well, we know, don't we? That there's blood all over the front of Ginny's coat.
That's true. We did see it. In the prison.
They test it with their chemicals.
Oh, help, you're right. I was forgetting what happened yesterday. Yeah, to be honest, I did too. We puffed her with a cloud.
Don't move, Ginny, I'm going to shoot.
Because it was all over the sleeves. But that's not Mr. Winterbank's blood. That stain is from 2 months ago. Exactly, that's Mason's blood. It's Mr. Mason's blood from when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. He can't just pull up baloney-ass tests all of a sudden, if we can't do it. Overruled. He's my friend. Oh, okay. Lord Van Zeeks, make it so at once. I guess I just haven't earned that reputation. With pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Once they find that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be... Counsel! Yes, my lord. Your cross-examination! Of course, my lord. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or a really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Where do we even begin? This thing is so full of holes. It's gotta be the gun going through the peephole, right? Yeah, see, she tossed the gun out of the peephole, you picked it up and made your escape. This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Hold it!
I'm calling this into question. Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room. That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. See, like, why would she toss it? Why wouldn't she just aim at your face and shoot that as well? You're a witness. Like, unless the gun was empty, but even then, why toss that one out the peephole and then keep Winterbank's in her hand? It doesn't compute, man. Over where exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door. To where I was watching. Exactly. Of course, I quickly retreated. And then... the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor. On my side of the door. What, like... She didn't just throw it, she just dropped it like newspaper in a mailbox? But why on earth would she do such a thing? Please have a reasonable explanation for this. I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Yeah, a good 2 feet. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there, in case any more tragedies took place. Oh, you didn't think to disarm your friends, the Skulkin brothers, who subsequently shot Sholmes after he had barged in, which took place after Winterbeck had been killed. So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime. Yeah, I figured that much, at least. Yes, it was yours truly. I left the clear up to my lackeys and left. Clear up? We made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute here told us to tidy up. He thinks he's our bloomin' mum sometimes. When I was paying you enough, by God! Back to sweating. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket, along with the gun in your other pocket? You're like a bull at a gate, aren't you? What the hell? What's going on over here? Gregson, please.
Excuse me.
Stop the quarreling. Gentlemen! Wow, you really took the wind out of him. Explain yourselves. Something wrong, Sunshine. What do you think? Genius? You were accosting a witness. That should be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin? Blimey, this D's a bit of an hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? You saw him, he grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes, he said. Didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down at our station? Because they're criminals, Gregson. Jesus Christ. I'm not gonna tell you the whole truth. We've practically established that this entire trial so far. And why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it. Or that flaming peephole in the door. Really now? Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? God blimey. See the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you, this D gives me the willies. Oh, you're gonna get more than willies in jail. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone, much less in front of a jury and a judge.
No, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him.
Yeah, that's you, Iris. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. His literal reputation is in your hands every time you sit at the typewriter.
Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character.
Okay, yeah, just go back to eating your fries. Good on you, Gregson.
What's your feeling, Reno?
As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony at the moment. I'm pretty sure I just spelled one out for you, Ryunosuke. I'm pretty sure I just carved a hole for you to look at, like he looked through the peephole.
But you have to find a way to break this man.
And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing...
It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood spatter over Ginny's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen.
Yeah, interesting. Like, it's certainly like the crux of the truth in his lie. It's the one thing that he inherently believes, and subsequently he's piling his lies on top of it, using that as a rock-solid foundation. But we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Winterbeck, so what's going on? Not to mention that's Mason Milverton's blood on the coat, not Winterbeck's.
All I know is that it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist's test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't?
Yeah, well, that's the prosecutor for you.
Detectives can use test tubes too.
Never mind that. I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. And I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat. And that's not hard, they just have to look at the sleeves. Okay, see, so what was the point of catching Gregson accosting Mr. Skulkin just there? Like, nothing's updated, nothing's changed. We just know that he acted out of character. I suppose we're gonna need to press some more statements. We definitely need to get more information from this one, how he saw the blood spatter all over that rich girl.
Hold it!
His words, not mine. All over? Yes, through the peephole, I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being such a dark color. Maybe you should have, taken your dark coat out of the wardrobe today. But I assure you, that garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure.
But it's not Mr. Windibank's blood, is it?
No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from when McGilded stabbed him 2 months ago.
It's so annoying. If they'd only accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we could prove that.
But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use it as evidence to support our case. It's more for our own, deduction, so to speak, so we can follow a line of thinking.
Bother.
Looks like we're moving backwards in his testimony. Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Windibank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you! Ah, but no. It wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windibank's gun grazed my arm. And yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely. A third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon. So clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time. You forget, Lord Van Zeeks, we have a picture of her wielding Windibank's gun at 1 a.m. So, what, she's just, like, juggling guns now? What, is she just, like, frantically weapon swapping like we're in Counter-Strike?
Objection!
But no other gun was found at the scene! Calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. Yeah, chilling, but imagined. Stop offering me your hand. So he pursued the man, he shut himself in the storeroom. You could see him through the peephole in the door, though.
Hold it!
Okay. Why didn't he close it? You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. And what about this, peephole in the door you mentioned? You like looking through peepholes? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door's a solid job, made of stout wood. Good to know. There's a small opening in it, about head height, that lets you see what's what in there from the outside. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. Yeah, that's how we discovered the body. Well, close up. And what about you burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through this peephole as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't see nothing to talk of. I doubt these two buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. Not to mention one of them couldn't even reach it. So, the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windibank take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. Really? Just like a big fat face in the peephole no one saw. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then? What did you see next? Don't worry about what you saw next, my lord. We're going backwards, remember? So when Windibank threw Nash over the counter, you felt a sharp pain in your arm. You mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the three men were brawling. was at exactly that moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar in the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. I should probably stop gyrating in court. Did Mr. Winterbank... That's not the right voice. Did Mr. Winterbank intend to shoot you, do you think? Sorry, my lord. Do you like my impression of you? Pray, please forgive the discourtesy of mimicking your voice. Well, now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled me gun on him, he tried to shove me out the way. And then he scarpered through that door out back. At which point, what did you do? Again, my lord, we're going backwards. Back to the beginning. While the ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop.
Hold it!
Okay. Mr. Winterbank emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been so scared in all my life. Yeah. We're just your regular, mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. Yeah, well, I carry a sword, and I'm pretty sure I don't like violence, Ryunosuke. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop? Sorry, it's not a sword, it's Cosmo's soul. I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves for forfeited items, posing like I am now, like some sort of Greek statue. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1. So I assumed they could handle the situation, more like 1.5 against 1. But I was wrong. I was trying to help me little bruv, but the old geezer chucked me over the bloomin' counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fella, and that soon made him scarper. The pair of you sitting upon the poor defenseless pawnbroker together. Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame! Sorry, Gov. Alright, we've pressed everything. My lord, we found nothing. Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. What do you mean? He doesn't really need to explain himself. We can kind of know what it is, my lord. I have the results of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, the blood on the accused's overcoat. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? Yeah, well, I've got no evidence, so hit me. Let's roll with it. No, my lord. Uh-oh. We've run out of time. Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the result of spattering following a gunshot wound. A gunshot wound? So what? Mason Milverton wasn't stabbed, he was shot? In a report. Or is it just coincidentally consistent with a gunshot wound? Goodness me. Uh-oh. That's not looking good. Alright. See? What did I tell you?
Objection!
No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Winterbank's. What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Winterbank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case.
Objection!
Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Yeah, well, I've already pointed out that this belongs to Magnus McGilded. You can't prove when that blood was spattered on the coat. Isn't that typically the comeback of the prosecutors and Ace Attorney? Like, well, you know, you can't prove when this happened or that happened. Sorry? Like, even the very first case of Ace Attorney, right? Like, you can't prove that the clock was broken on the day. Or, sorry, the hours were set back or whatever. And you have to prove that via Larry's bloody girlfriend's passport. 2 months ago in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for McGilded's innocence? Yeah, it's my job. What do you want me to do? Keel over and just surrender? And yet now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer. Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country. Sorry. These hoes ain't loyal. But that was... I call it bloody disgrace. Treachery, that's what it is.
How to determine whether the blood on that coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't help the answer to that problem pop out. It can't be done.
Oh yeah, because stereoscopes are the only solution for everything.
But we use Mr. Sholmes' specifically formulated...
Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist.
Would you put such faith in a chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer?
I don't know, do you use it in your day-to-day activities? I held out Pirotsky to starving boy, and he ran away crying. Okay, thank you.
Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all.
Well, I can't wait for him to bust through the doors any second now. Any second now. He's coming. How could you say that?
Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish.
The whole truth, huh?
How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen.
Or if he killed, his own father. He committed patricide, and that's how he knew.
In other words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth.
Objection!